One day, a billionaire lost his most precious dog to kidnappers. Desperate, broken, and furious, he searched everywhere, offering rewards and praying not to lose the last memory of his late child. Then a shocking call came. Someone had seen his dog. Armed with anger and fear, he rushed to the location, ready to confront whoever dared keep what was his. But when he arrived, he didn't find criminals. He found a homeless girl in a forgotten swamp, gently feeding and caring for his missing dog with pure love. What he did next stunned the whole city and changed lives forever. Before we dive in, please like, share, and subscribe. Amanda was born in a place the world refused to remember, a swamp. Not the kind people romanticize in stories, but a stretch of soggy land where wooden planks served as roads, where water smelled of decay, and where night fell early because hope rarely stayed long enough to shine. The swamp sat on the forgotten edge of the city, hidden behind tall weeds in abandoned buildings, a place people avoided unless poverty pushed them there. That was where Amanda lived. She lived in a crooked mud and wood shack with her mother, Mama Grace, was on. The roof leaked when it rained. The walls sweated moisture even in the dry season. Mosquitoes ruled the nights, and hunger ruled the days. But inside that fragile home lived something stronger than suffering: love. Amanda had known hardship for as long as she could remember. Her father had once lived with them, but he disappeared when Amanda was still young. He had fallen in love with a wealthy woman from the city, someone who promised him comfort and escape. One morning he packed a small bag, kissed Amanda's forehead without meeting her eyes, and told her mother he would return when things were better. Things never got better. Days turned into years. Years turned into silence. Amanda learned early that some promises were not meant to be kept. Mama Grace worked endlessly, washing clothes, selling small vegetables, doing any odd job she could find, but sickness and exhaustion followed her like shadows. Many nights she lay coughing while Amanda fanned her with cardboard, whispering prayers into the darkness. Amanda grew up too fast, yet somehow she grew up kind. She was gentle in a place that rewarded cruelty. She shared what little food she had with children who had even less. She greeted people with a soft smile even when they mocked her torn dress or bare feet. There was something peaceful about her presence, something that made even pain slow down around her. Her one true joy came with 4 legs and a wagging tail. Brownie. He was a scruffy, brown dog she found one rainy evening, trembling beside a broken canoe near the swamp's edge. He was thin, soaked, and afraid. Amanda wrapped him in her torn shawl and carried him home without thinking twice. From that night on, Brownie became her world. He followed her everywhere, through muddy paths to the water's edge, to the tiny market stalls where she helped her mother. At night, when thunder shook the swamp and fear crept in, Brownie curled beside her, warm and loyal. He was more than a dog. He was family. Food was scarce. Some days, Amanda and her mother shared one meal. On worse days, they shared none. When that happened, Amanda would quietly push her portion toward Brownie. "I'll eat later," she would lie. Brownie, sensing her weakness, often went scavenging in the streets beyond the swamp. Sometimes he returned with leftovers in his mouth. Sometimes he didn't return until nightfall. Each time, Amanda waited anxiously, whispering his name like a prayer. On the morning Amanda turned 18, the swamp woke up as it always did, silent and unforgiving. There was no celebration, no birthday song, no gift. Amanda woke before sunrise, her stomach aching with hunger. She washed her face with cold swamp water and stared at her reflection. Thin cheeks, tired eyes, but a quiet strength that refused to fade. She knelt beside her sleeping mother and whispered, "Thank you, God, for another year." That was her birthday prayer. Brownie nudged her hand and wagged his tail weakly. Amanda smiled for the first time that morning. "You remembered," she whispered, hugging him. That day passed slowly. The sun burned hot, and hunger followed her like a second skin. As evening approached, Brownie wandered off again, searching for food. Amanda watched him disappear down the muddy path, her heart uneasy. Something felt wrong. Still, she told herself he would return. He always did. Night fell. Brownie didn't come back. Amanda stood outside their hut, calling his name over and over, her voice cracking as darkness swallowed the swamp. Mama Grace begged her to come inside, but Amanda couldn't. Fear tightened her chest. Brownie was not just missing, he was her anchor. Without him, the swamp felt colder. louder, more cruel. As Amanda stared into the darkness, a strange thought crossed her. How empty her life would be if Brownie never returned. She pushed the thought away quickly, shaking her head. He'll come back, she whispered. But the swamp remained silent. And somewhere in that silence, destiny began to stir, quietly, patiently, preparing Amanda for a pain she never imagined, and a miracle she never dreamed of. Morning came, but Brownie did not. Amanda woke with a sharp ache in her chest, the kind that arrives before the mind understands why. The mat beside her was empty. No warm body, no soft breathing, no gentle lick on her fingers the way Brownie always did when she stirred. Brownie? She whispered. Silence. She sat up quickly, fear rising like floodwater. She stepped outside the hut barefoot, calling his name again, softly at first, then louder. Brownie! Brownie! Only the sound of insects answered her. Her mother watched from the doorway, worry lining her tired face. He will come back, Mama Grace said, though her voice lacked conviction. Dogs wander sometimes. But Amanda knew Brownie had never stayed away overnight. Never. Amanda grabbed her shawl and ran into the swamp paths, mud splashing against her legs as she searched. She checked behind abandoned shacks, near the water, beside the broken canoe where she had first found him. She asked people she passed, her voice trembling. Have you seen my dog? Brown fur, kind eyes? Some shook their heads, some ignored her. One woman scoffed, Girl, it's just a dog. But Brownie was not just a dog. He was the reason Amanda still smiled. She searched until her throat burned and her legs weakened. Hunger clawed at her stomach, but fear drowned it out. As the sun climbed higher and a strange smell drifted through the air, smoke and something heavier. Something wrong. Amanda followed the scent, her heart pounding harder with every step. That was when she heard laughter. Harsh, cruel, coming from behind a neighbor's wooden fence. Amanda slowed, dread tightening her chest. She recognized the voice. It belonged to Bello, a man feared in the swamp. Short-tempered, wicked, known for cruelty disguised as authority. She peered through a broken plank, and the world stopped. Brownie lay on the ground, still, lifeless. Blood stained his fur. Amanda screamed. A sound tore out of her that did not sound human. She burst through the fence, falling to her knees beside him. She grabbed his body, shaking him, pressing her face into his fur. No, please, no. Her tears soaked his coat as she rocked back and forth, screaming his name like it could pull his soul back. Bello stood nearby, chewing meat casually, holding a knife still stained red. Your useless dog trespassed, he said flatly. Came looking for food. I killed it. Amanda looked up at him in disbelief. You killed him? She whispered, her voice breaking. He was hungry. He didn't hurt anyone. Bello shrugged. Not my problem. Something inside Amanda shattered. She lunged forward, grabbing Bello's leg, sobbing uncontrollably. Please, he was all I had, please. Bello kicked her away. Amanda fell hard into the mud, but she crawled back to Brownie, clutching him like a child clutches a dying mother. People gathered. Some watched in silence. Some whispered. No one intervened. Mama Grace arrived, breathless, and collapsed beside her daughter when she saw Brownie. She held Amanda tightly as her daughter wailed, her entire body shaking with grief. My child, Mama Grace cried. My poor child. They carried Brownie away together. Amanda refused to let go. She insisted on burying him herself. They dug a shallow grave near the edge of the swamp, under a crooked tree Brownie loved to rest beneath. Amanda placed his body gently inside, whispering apologies with every movement. I'm sorry I couldn't feed you enough, she sobbed. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. I'm sorry. When the soil finally covered him, Amanda collapsed. That night, she did not eat. The next day, she did not speak. Days passed. Amanda sat by the grave from morning till dusk, tracing circles in the dirt with trembling fingers. She talked to Brownie as if he were still there. I'll bring food tomorrow, she whispered one evening, then froze, realizing there was no one left to eat it. Her body grew thinner. Her eyes lost their light. Hunger gnawed at her, but grief starved her more deeply. Mama Grace tried everything, pleading, scolding, crying. Amanda, you must eat. Amanda shook her head. What's the point? At night, she woke up reaching for Brownie, only to remember he was gone. She clutched her chest, gasping as pain crashed into her again and again. The swamp felt louder without him, scarier, colder. She avoided the paths where he used to run. She avoided the spot where he died. She avoided people. Sometimes she imagined she heard his bark. Sometimes she smiled, then broke down when reality returned. One evening, Amanda whispered to her mother, "Why do people punish kindness?" Mama Grace had no answer. All she could do was hold her daughter as she cried herself to sleep. Amanda stopped going out, stopped helping at the market, stopped dreaming. Every morning she woke wishing she could sleep forever. She did not know that somewhere else, another man, wealthy, powerful, broken, was clinging to a dog for the same reason she had. She did not know that her pain was quietly aligning with destiny. All she knew was that the only soul who had loved her without conditions was gone. And with him, a piece of Amanda was buried in the swamp. But what Amanda could not see, what grief blinded her to, was that love never truly dies. It waits. It transforms. And sometimes, after breaking a heart completely, it returns in a way no one expects. Chief Ben Akori had everything the world admired, and nothing his heart needed. From the outside, his life looked like perfection. His mansion stood on a hill, guarded by tall iron gates and armed security. His fleet of cars gleamed under the sun. His name commanded respect in boardrooms, palaces, and government offices. Men bowed when he spoke. Deals bent in his favor. But at night, when the lights dimmed and the world slept, Chief Ben sat alone, widowed, childless, broken. Years ago, cancer had walked into his home uninvited and taken his only daughter, Zara. She had been 12, bright, playful, stubborn in the most beautiful way. The house had once echoed with her laughter, her questions, her singing. Then one hospital night changed everything. On her last day, Zara had held her dog tightly against her chest, a white-furred puppy she adored more than anything. "Daddy," she whispered weakly, "if I don't come back, please take care of her." Chief Ben had nodded, choking on tears. "I promise." That promise became his anchor to life. After Zara's burial, Chief Ben withdrew from the world. He stopped attending parties. He stopped smiling in public. The only soul allowed close to him was the dog, Princess. Princess slept beside his bed, ate from his hand, followed him everywhere with quiet loyalty. When grief overwhelmed him, he talked to her as if she were his daughter. "You remind me of her," he would whisper, stroking her head. "You're all I have left." Princess became his heartbeat. Every morning, the gardener Musa took Princess for a walk. Same route, same time, same routine. That routine became their weakness. Somewhere in the shadows, evil watched. A group of men had noticed Chief Ben's affection for the dog. They saw how his face softened whenever Princess was mentioned. They heard staff whisper, "That dog is his weakness." And where love exists, predators gather. They studied the routine carefully. They planned. They waited. The attack happened on a quiet afternoon. Musa had just turned into a narrow street when the men emerged. One struck him from behind. Another grabbed the leash. Princess barked wildly, struggling, clawing, biting, but they were stronger. Musa screamed. Neighbors scattered. Within seconds, the dog was gone. Musa lay bleeding on the road. The call came minutes later. Chief Ben answered. A cold voice spoke. "We have your dog." The world tilted. Chief Ben dropped the phone, hands shaking. His chest tightened as memories flooded back. Hospital monitors, last breaths, graveside soil. "No," he whispered, "not again." When the call resumed, the voice continued, $100,000. If you try anything stupid, we kill her. Chief Ben's knees buckled. "Please," he begged, tears streaming down his face without shame. "She's all I have. I'll pay. Just don't hurt her." They laughed. "We'll call tomorrow." That night, Chief Ben did not sleep. He sat on the floor of Princess's room, clutching her toys, inhaling her scent. He wept like a man who had already buried too much. "God," he whispered, voice cracking, "you already took my child. Please, don't take her too." Morning came with no peace. The kidnappers called again, demanding confirmation. Chief Ben agreed to everything, but something inside him, an instinct sharpened by years of power, demanded proof. "I want to see her," he said firmly. "Let me hear her bark." There was silence on the line, then hurried whispers. "We'll show you tomorrow," they replied before hanging up. That night, fate intervened. Princess had been chained inside an unfinished building, surrounded by darkness and filth. Her paw was injured from struggling. Hunger gnawed at her. Princess did not know she had become a price tag. She did not understand ransom, greed, or crime. She only knew fear, the kind that tastes metallic in the mouth and makes the heart beat like drums in a storm. The unfinished building where the kidnappers kept her was a skeleton of concrete and rust. No windows, no doors, just broken blocks, dark corners, and the smell of dampness mixed with human cruelty. They had chained her to an iron rod and left her on dusty ground like she was nothing more than luggage. The chain around her neck was tight. Every time she moved, it tugged painfully against her fur. One paw was swollen from the earlier struggle when they attacked Musa, the gardener. She licked it repeatedly, whining softly, but the pain did not go away. Night fell. The kidnappers sat outside, laughing, sharing cigarettes and mocking voices. They talked about money like it was already in their hands. "Chief Ben will pay," one said with confidence. "That dog is like his blood." "Blood, Kay?" another bluffed. "He will pay and still beg us." Princess pressed her body against the cold ground, trembling. She could smell their hostility. She could hear their careless laughter. Yet in the middle of fear, her mind returned to one image, Chief Ben's face. She remembered his gentle hands, his voice that always softened when he called her name, the way he hugged her like he was holding his child. Princess did not just miss home, she missed safety. And deep inside her, something stubborn rose, something that whispered, "Run." She pulled at the chain once. It clanked loudly. A kidnapper barked from outside, "Shut up!" Princess froze. Her ears twitched. Her breath slowed. She waited. Minutes passed. Silence returned. Then she pulled again, harder this time. Pain shot through her neck, but she didn't stop. She twisted, clawed, tugged, and used her teeth the way nature taught her. The metal bit into her gums. The taste of blood filled her mouth. She whimpered, but she kept chewing, because sometimes love makes an animal braver than men. Hours passed. The building grew colder. The mosquitoes came. Her injured paw throbbed, yet she continued to work on the chain like her life depended on it. Because it did. At some point, the kidnappers' laughter faded. One by one, they slept. Their voices became distant snores. That was when Princess tried again. One last desperate pull. The chain snapped. It didn't break cleanly. It tore with a sharp jerk that sent her tumbling backward. She yelped softly and sprang up in shock, staring at the broken metal like she couldn't believe it. For 2 seconds, she stood still. Then instinct took over. She ran. She bolted out of the unfinished building, limping slightly but moving fast. Her heart thundered in her chest as she sped into the night, not looking back even once. The moonlight fell on her white fur, making her glow like a ghost sliding through shadows. Behind her, the kidnappers slept, unaware their gold had escaped. Princess ran through narrow streets, past closed shops and silent houses. She ran across a muddy road and nearly slipped. She kept running. She ran until her lungs burned and her injured paw made her stumble. She stopped briefly behind a refuse bin, panting, listening. No footsteps, no shouts. She continued, but the world outside the mansion was not kind. It smelled different, dangerous. Strange dogs barked at her from dark corners. A car sped past, splashing dirty water. Somewhere, a drunk man shouted nonsense into the air. Princess did not know where she was going. She only knew she was running away from fear. Back at Chief Ben's mansion, the night was alive with tension. The moment the kidnappers called earlier to demand payment, Chief Ben had agreed. Yet his billionaire instincts, honed by years of betrayal, deals, and hidden enemies, refused to hand over money blindly. He had demanded proof. "Let me see her," he said on the phone, voice controlled but shaking underneath. "Let me hear her bark." The kidnappers stalled. Chief Ben's eyes narrowed. His grief sharpened into suspicion. When the call ended abruptly, he turned to his head of security, Captain Aid. "They don't have her," Chief Ben said slowly. "Or something has happened." Captain Aid stood firm. "Sir, do you want us to trace the call?" "Yes," Chief Ben snapped, then paused, pain flickering across his face. "But first, search. Search everywhere. I want checkpoints. I want patrols. I want her found before they hurt her." He walked into Princess's room and stared at her empty bed. The sight crushed him. He picked up her tiny collar tag, engraved with her name and a little symbol Zara once drew on it. His fingers trembled as he held it. "Zara, I promised you," he whispered, voice breaking. "I promised you." His chest tightened. The grief he thought he had buried returned in full force, as if the loss of his daughter was happening again. Only this time with teeth and claws and criminals. He sat down on the floor, a powerful man reduced to a shaking father. Tears dropped freely. "I can't lose her," he whispered. "I can't lose the last thing that still makes this house feel like home." Meanwhile, far away in the unfinished building, the kidnappers finally woke up. One of them yawned and tossed a stone into the building lazily. "Dog, wake up!" No bark. He frowned, stood up and walked inside. The chain lay on the ground, broken. The dog was gone. For a second, the man's brain refused to accept it. Then he screamed, "Guys, she's going!" Panic erupted. Men jumped up, cursing, grabbing their weapons, searching the corners like fools looking for wind. They ran outside, scanning the road, shining torches into bushes. Nothing. Princess had disappeared into the darkness. Their leader, a thick-voiced man called Razor, slapped one of them hard across the face. "Idiot, you slept. How could a buck break a chain up on the..." Another shouted, sweating. Razor's eyes blazed with fear. Not anger alone, but fear of failure. Because Chief Ben was not an ordinary man to mess with. His wealth could buy the law. His influence could turn their lives into a living nightmare. Razor's phone rang. They froze. It was Chief Ben. Razor answered quickly, forcing confidence into his voice. "Chief, we're ready. Bring the money tomorrow." Chief Ben's voice came like thunder. "Show me my dog. Now." Razor hesitated. "Chief, don't worry. She's fine." Chief Ben's tone turned icy. "Show me her face. Let me hear her bark, or you get nothing." Razor's throat went dry. He tried to bluff. "We will show you tomorrow." Chief Ben cut in sharply. "You have 1 minute. Put her on the phone." The kidnappers looked at each other in terror. Razor's hands shook. He knew they had lost their bargaining chip. Then Chief Ben's voice dropped lower, dangerously calm. "If you cannot show me my dog, it means you don't have her. And if you don't have her, you are finished." He hung up. Razor swallowed hard. For the first time since they planned the kidnapping, Razor felt something that made his stomach turn cold. Regret. He turned to his men. "Find that dog, now." They scattered like ants, running through streets with torches, knocking on doors, threatening security guards at nearby buildings. They searched gutters and bushes, calling her name like they cared. But Princess was already far. Still running, still lost, still bleeding. Near dawn, Princess slowed down. Hunger hit her like a punch. Her paw hurt. Her throat felt dry. She stopped beside a roadside kiosk, sniffing for scraps, but found nothing. She limped forward again, passing a dark drainage, then turning down a path that led away from the city's bright roads, toward rougher places, quieter places. Places where the poor lived. Places where forgotten people survived. The sky brightened slightly and the air smelled of dampness. Princess walked until she reached the edge of a swampy area, wooden planks, muddy water, scattered shacks. She hesitated. The place looked strange, but something about it felt calmer. She stepped onto the first plank carefully. It creaked. She flinched, then continued. Inside one of those shacks, Amanda lay awake. She had dreamed of Brownie again, running toward her, barking, tail wagging, then fading into smoke the moment she tried to touch him. Amanda sat up slowly, clutching her chest. Tears slipped down her cheeks. She didn't know why her heart was beating so fast. She only knew the morning felt different, like something was coming. Outside, Princess moved deeper into the swamp paths, limping, tired, and afraid. She didn't know this place. She didn't know this girl. But destiny had begun to weave two broken hearts together. And by the time the sun fully rose, the dog who carried a billionaire's grief was about to walk into the hands of a girl whose own dog had been buried in mud. And what would happen next would shock everyone. Amanda did not wake up that morning with hope. She woke up with the same heaviness that had lived in her chest since Brownie died. A dull ache that never truly slept. The swamp was quiet, wrapped in early mist. Her mother coughed softly in the corner of their hut, and Amanda rose quietly so as not to wake her fully. She tied her faded shawl around her shoulders and stepped outside. The air smelled of damp earth and sorrow. Every step Amanda took through the swamp reminded her of Brownie, the path where he used to run ahead of her, the tree where he once chased birds. The shallow grave she avoided looking at now because it felt like staring into her own wound. She headed toward the roadside to buy a small quantity of food, whatever her few coins could afford. Her stomach protested with a sharp twist, but she ignored it. Hunger had become a familiar companion. As she walked, her mind drifted back to the night she buried Brownie. The way the soil felt heavy on her palms, the way the silence afterwards screamed louder than any cry. She pressed her lips together, blinking back tears. "Be strong," she whispered to herself. "For Mama." That was when she heard a faint sound, a whimper. Amanda stopped. At first, she thought grief was playing tricks on her. Since Brownie died, she sometimes imagined hearing dogs bark or whine. But this sound came again. Soft, strained, real. She turned slowly. Near a wooden plank by the roadside, something white lay curled up. Amanda's heart skipped. She stepped closer, cautious, afraid of disappointment. It was a dog, a beautiful one. White fur, dirty and matted, one paw swollen, her body trembling slightly. The dog lifted her head weakly when she sensed Amanda's presence, her eyes dull with pain and exhaustion. Amanda gasped softly and dropped to her knees without thinking. "Oh, you're hurt," she whispered. The dog tried to stand, failed, then crawled toward Amanda with the last strength she had. When Princess reached her, she pressed her head against Amanda's chest and whimpered. Amanda froze, something broke inside her. The warmth, the weight, the familiar trust in the animal's gesture. It reminded her too much of Brownie. Tears spilled freely as she wrapped her arms around the dog instinctively. "It's okay," Amanda whispered, voice shaking. "I won't hurt you, I promise." Princess licked Amanda's chin weakly as if she understood. Amanda looked around. No one was nearby, no owner, no collar she could see, just a wounded dog and a lonely girl standing at the edge of the swamp. Amanda hesitated. Her mother's voice echoed in her head. "We barely eat, my child." She looked down at the dog again, at the swollen paw, the ribs faintly visible beneath her fur, the tired eyes that had seen too much. Amanda swallowed hard. She remembered how it felt to be abandoned. She lifted the dog gently. "I don't have much," she whispered, "but you won't die here." The walk back to the hut felt longer than usual. Princess was heavier than Brownie had been, and Amanda's arms ached, but she did not stop. Each step felt like purpose returning to her body. When she arrived home, Mama Grace looked up in shock. "Amanda, where did you get that dog?" Amanda laid Princess gently on an old mat. "I found her on the road. She was alone and hurt." Mama Grace frowned, worry filling her eyes. "My child, how will we feed another mouth? You know our condition." Amanda knelt beside the dog, gently washing the injured paw with water. "I'll manage," she said quietly. "I'll eat less." Mama Grace opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. She saw the light in Amanda's eyes, the same light she had seen years ago when Amanda brought Brownie home, the light of compassion. Princess watched Amanda closely as she worked, her tail thumping weakly against the mat. She had not felt safe since the kidnapping. She had run through fear and hunger, unsure of every shadow. But here the hands were gentle. The voice was soft. The heart was familiar. That night, Amanda gave Princess the little food she bought, watery rice and scraps. Princess ate slowly, gratefully, then rested her head on Amanda's lap. Amanda stroked her fur absent-mindedly, tears dripping silently. "You look like you belong to someone," she whispered. "Someone who loves you." Princess lifted her head and looked at Amanda as if listening. "If they come for you," Amanda continued, "I will let you go, I promise." She did not know how true those words would soon become. Over the next 2 days, Amanda cared for Princess with devotion. She cleaned her wound daily. She shared her food. She spoke to her the way she used to speak to Brownie, telling her stories, whispering her fears, laughing softly at silly moments. Princess followed her everywhere, limping but determined. She slept beside Amanda at night, pressing her warm body close, chasing away nightmares Amanda didn't realize she was still having. Something beautiful happened in those 2 days. Amanda smiled again, not fully, but genuinely. The swamp noticed. Neighbors noticed too. Some whispered, "That dog looks expensive. Who owns it?" Amanda paid no attention. She didn't know that posters were plastered across the city. She didn't know that radio stations repeated the same announcement over and over. $200,000 reward for anyone who finds Chief Ben Okoria's missing dog. Amanda had no television, no radio, no electricity. She lived in a swamp where news arrived late, if at all. All she knew was that a wounded dog had chosen her, and she had chosen the dog back. But not everyone's heart was like Amanda's. On the third morning, a neighbor stood watching from a distance, eyes narrowing as Princess trotted beside Amanda. Greed stirred, and somewhere else, a billionaire was losing his mind with worry, his security searching endlessly, his heart breaking all over again. Destiny was moving fast now. The peace Amanda felt was fragile, and soon it would be tested in a way she never imagined. Amanda sensed it before she saw it. That morning, the swamp felt uneasy, too quiet, as though the air itself was holding its breath. Princess followed Amanda closely, her steps cautious, her ears twitching at every unfamiliar sound. The dog no longer limped as badly, but she stayed near Amanda's legs, brushing against her like she needed constant reassurance. Amanda bent down and stroked her fur. "It's okay," she whispered, more to herself than to the dog. "Nothing bad will happen today." She didn't believe it. Mama Grace stood outside the hut, stirring a small pot of thin soup. She paused suddenly, eyes narrowing toward the wooden path that led into the swamp. "Amanda," she said quietly, "who are those people?" Amanda turned. At first she saw only movement, dark shapes where there were never shapes. Then the sound came. Engines, multiple engines, low, heavy, expensive. Cars did not come into the swamp, ever. Within seconds, black SUVs appeared at the edge of the planks, glossy and out of place like predators in shallow water. Armed men stepped out, big, alert, scanning the area with disciplined eyes. The swamp froze. Neighbors peeped from behind doors. Children stopped playing. Even the birds seemed to scatter. Princess stiffened. Her ears stood straight. Her body trembled. A low whine escaped her throat. Amanda's heart began to race. Before she could move, a tall man stepped forward from between the vehicles. He was dressed simply but expensively. His face was stern, lined with grief and exhaustion. His eyes, those eyes, were searching, burning, desperate. The moment Princess saw him, everything changed. She broke free from Amanda's side and ran. "Princess!" Amanda cried instinctively, fear slicing through her chest. But the dog did not run away. She ran toward the man. Princess leaped, barking and crying at once, circling him wildly, jumping up to lick his hands, her tail wagging so hard her whole body shook. The man staggered back in shock. Then he fell to his knees. "Princess," he whispered, voice breaking. Chief Ben Okori wrapped his arms around the dog as if afraid she would vanish if he loosened his grip. He pressed his forehead to hers, tears streaming freely down his face, tears he no longer cared to hide. "You're alive," he sobbed. "You're alive! Oh God, thank you." The swamp watched in stunned silence. Amanda stood frozen, her hands trembling, her mind struggling to understand what she was seeing. Her heart sank slowly, painfully. She belongs to him. Princess finally pulled away from Chief Ben and ran back to Amanda, then back to him, confused, torn, whimpering as if trying to hold two worlds together. Chief Ben looked up. That was when he saw Amanda properly for the first time. Barefoot, thin, eyes filled with fear, hands shaking, not from guilt, but from the terror of losing something she loved again. Chief Ben stood slowly and walked toward her. Security tensed. Mama Grace clutched her wrapper tightly, stepping in front of her daughter. "Please," she begged softly, "we didn't steal anything." Amanda swallowed hard and bowed her head. "Sir, I found her on the road. She was hurt. I didn't know she belonged to anyone. If she's yours, you can take her." The words nearly killed her. Princess whimpered loudly and pressed against Amanda's legs, refusing to move. Chief Ben stopped a few steps away. He studied Amanda carefully. Not her poverty, not her clothes, but her eyes. Eyes that knew loss. Eyes that had loved deeply. Eyes that were already breaking again. "Did you hurt her?" Chief Ben asked quietly. Amanda shook her head violently. "No, sir. I cleaned her wound. I fed her. I swear." "How did you feed her?" he asked. Amanda hesitated, then answered honestly. I ate less. Mama Grace began to cry. Chief Ben felt something tear inside his chest. He knelt down again, not for the dog this time, but in front of Amanda. The swamp gasped. A billionaire kneeling before a poor girl. You didn't know there was a reward? He asked gently. Amanda shook her head. We don't have television or radio. Silence fell heavy. Chief Ben reached out slowly and touched Princess's collar. He noticed how clean her wound was, how calm she was around Amanda, how she leaned toward the girl with trust animals only give to those who love them sincerely. You could have sold her, he said quietly. Amanda's voice cracked. I lost my dog, she whispered. I couldn't let another one die. Chief Ben closed his eyes. That was it. That single sentence shattered every wall around his heart. He stood up slowly, took off his cap, and wiped his face. When he spoke again, his voice carried across the swamp. This girl did not steal my dog. Murmurs spread. She saved her. The greedy neighbor who had reported Amanda stepped forward nervously. Sir, the bounty. Chief Ben turned sharply. You will get nothing. The man froze. Chief Ben faced Amanda again. You thought I came to punish you. Amanda nodded, tears spilling freely now. Yes, sir. Chief Ben shook his head slowly. I came to thank you. Amanda looked up in shock. Princess barked happily. Chief Ben turned to his men. Prepare the cars. He looked back at Amanda and Mama Grace. You are coming with me. Mama Grace gasped. Sir? Chief Ben crouched again and looked Amanda straight in the eyes. I lost my child. You lost your dog. My dog chose you when she had every reason to run away. He gestured gently to Princess. I don't believe in coincidence. Amanda's knees weakened. Sir, I don't understand. Chief Ben placed his hand over his chest. Neither did I until today. He straightened and spoke words that would echo in Amanda's life forever. You are coming to my house, both of you, and the dog. He paused, smiling faintly through tears. The dog stays with you. Amanda broke down completely. She sank to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. Not from fear this time, but from shock, relief, and a kindness so overwhelming it felt unreal. Mama Grace collapsed beside her, crying and thanking God loudly. Princess barked excitedly, running in circles. The swamp watched as destiny lifted a girl who had lost everything. As Amanda was helped into the car, she looked back at the hut, the mud walls, the leaking roof, the place where she had buried her pain. She held Princess close. She did not know what awaited her. But for the first time since Brownie died, hope rode beside her. The mansion gates opened slowly, silently, like a world holding its breath. Amanda pressed her face lightly against the car window as they drove in. She had never seen anything like it. Wide green lawns stretched endlessly. Tall trees lined the driveway like quiet guards. The house itself stood grand and calm, glowing softly in the afternoon light. Her hands trembled as she held Princess close. This place, she whispered. Is it real? Mama Grace sat beside her, eyes wet with disbelief, clutching her wrapper as though afraid everything would vanish if she blinked. Chief Ben stepped out of the car and gestured gently. Welcome home. Those two words struck Amanda harder than hunger ever had. Home. Inside the mansion, the air smelled clean, like fresh paint and quiet peace. The floors gleamed. The rooms were wan and bright. Amanda walked slowly, afraid her bare feet would dirty something sacred. Princess ran ahead excitedly, barking joyfully, already reclaiming her territory. That night, Amanda was given a warm bath, clean clothes, and a soft bed. She sat on the edge of it for a long time, unsure how to lie down. When she finally did, she cried silently into the pillow. Not from pain, but from disbelief. Princess curled beside her, resting her head on Amanda's chest, just as Brownie once had. Amanda closed her eyes and whispered, I didn't replace you. I just found love again. Over the next days, healing began, slowly, gently. Mama Grace received medical care she had never imagined. Her cough softened. Her face regained color. She smiled more, laughed more, slept without fear. Amanda enrolled in school. On her first day, she stood before a mirror, dressed neatly, her hair softly combed. She barely recognized herself. Is this really me? She whispered. Chief Ben watched her from the doorway. heart full. He saw not a poor girl anymore, but a daughter rising from ashes. One afternoon, Chief Ben called Amanda into his study. She entered nervously. He handed her a document. "I want to make this official." Amanda stared at the paper, confused. "I am adopting you," he said softly. "Not out of pity, out of love." Amanda's knees buckled. She fell into his arms and cried like a child who had finally found safety. "I promise," she sobbed, "I will never forget where I came from." Chief Ben stroked her hair gently. "And I promise you will never walk alone again." Princess barked loudly, tail wagging, as if sealing the promise herself. Weeks later, Amanda returned briefly to the swamp, not to live, but to say goodbye. She stood by Brownie's grave, flowers in her hands. "I made it," she whispered. "But I'll always remember you." The wind moved softly as if answering her. Back at the mansion, laughter returned to halls that had known only silence. Princess slept peacefully. Mama Grace cooked freely. Amanda studied with hope shining in her eyes. A girl who once starved to feed her dog now sat at a table filled with food. A girl who buried her heart in mud now walked in purpose. And a billionaire who thought he had lost everything discovered that love, when given freely, always finds its way back. Not through money, not through power, but through kindness. And sometimes, through a way that ran into destiny. Moral of the story. True kindness is revealed in moments when no reward is expected. Amanda chose love and compassion even in poverty, and destiny answered her selflessness. What the world abandons, kindness can restore, because genuine love always finds its way back, in ways that change lives forever. If this story touched your heart, remember that kindness can change destiny. Please like, share, and subscribe for more powerful African stories of love, sacrifice, and hope. Your support helps these stories reach the world.